Is liberty dying where you live? Escape to Keene at freekeene.com.
Thank you, Diane. All right, so now we'll move on to the main purpose of today's meeting. We have 2 exemption applications to go through and a land use change tax. We'll take them in order of that people have signed in. Just as a review for those who haven't been here before, we give an opportunity for the property owner to speak to the board. Once you've spoken, the board will make their decision, and the board's decision is final. If you disagree with the board's decision, you can appeal to either the Board of Tax and Land Appeals or to the Superior Court, but not both. And we do ask that you do keep your comments brief and you just highlight any pertinent information. All information that has been sent to the Department of Assessment has been given to the board. They have had plenty of time to review it ahead of today's meeting. And with that, Mark Edgington, you're going to be speaking?
They can go first if they'd like. I mean, it's fine by me.
That's fine.
Well, actually, what I was going to say to the contrary, because I anticipate there may be some dialogue.
Same here.
In our particular situation.
You asked for it.
Please just state your name and the address.
Well, my address at which I live?
Correct.
Okay. My name is Mark Edgington, and my address is 63 Emerald Street, number 506. That's a mailing address.
You are speaking on behalf of Shire Free Monadnock, correct?
Shire Free Church, Monadnock, yeah. So I've asked my fellow ministers here to cede their time to me so that I'd have the impact that I was hoping to have. This is going to get a little uncomfortable, but I hope you can hear my words. Before I get started, I want to make sure that I clarify some pronouns. I don't consider myself to be always on board with every action that the greater group of people who call themselves the activists might be on board with, but I think a lot of mistakes have been made in the name of activism in the city of Keene, and I'd love to see some kind of dialogue that began to mend that. That said, I think it'd be hard not to call me a closely affiliated individual. So I'll use terms like we and us to refer to the liberty activist community, and both those that identify with the Shire Free Church and those that don't, as well as the church and the board of the church. Knowing that humans are bad at fairness, and this is evident in our language, we're social, group-oriented creatures. We respect fairness, but time and science have shown us that we do it very poorly. So knowing that, I'll use the term you to refer to people that work for the organization known as the City of Keene, including you on this board. Now, I know that none of you are guilty of every bit of violence and systematic disenfranchisement that individuals that are affiliated with the City of Keene have perpetrated against the activists. I'm clear on that. But with those caveats, I'm going to get started. So I'm not coming before you today with any kind of expectation that my words will make a difference. And because I have no expectations, I feel truly free to speak my mind as an occupant of the region now for going on a decade. You've claimed to be liberal and open-minded while refusing dialogue. You don't want to talk. You don't want to work things out. You want control and unflinching, unthinking obedience. You demand from people unfortunate enough to live in the area that you claim to control, arguably the highest taxes in the state, and then you mule for more. I've heard talk back, open mic, sound off on the radio, and I've watched Channel 8. If someone complains, you feign empathy and powerlessness. You complain that no one participates in local government.
Sergeant, does this have anything to do with how the church is a religious organization?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that, but I think it's really important to show the...
if we could just focus on that, that is the purpose of today's meeting.
It's not for me.
That is why we're here.
You can call the law. I've got 2.5 pages. Drag me out of here. If someone refuses, or excuse me, you complain that no one participates in local government. Well, why would they? The meetings are intentionally long and boring, and no one has ever cared what I have to say. You let people talk, and then you do what you want. The activists participate far more than the average person does. And have you ever asked one of them to sit on one of your panels? You'll snatch up anybody who isn't painted with the Free Stater brush but attends a few meetings. You'll populate your boards with them, but not an activist. Any good idea that these activists have is suddenly becomes verboten if they speak it. They go through the process, they're shut down. They do something outside of the process, they're arrested. This is what we call systemic disenfranchisement. It isn't simply the purview of social conservatives dealing with ethnic minorities. You come to claim a democratic mandate, but you can't get nearly a majority of people to show up for your local elections. The elections, the officials that appointed you to this board. You're willfully blind and oppressive as any local government in the South in the 60s. I often wonder what it would be like if we just started asking for the opposite of what we want. I can't imagine it would work, though. I'll grant you that you aren't stupid about how you go about marginalizing us. An incident that sticks out of my mind was when Symphony Georgina called us children. You stick your fingers in your ears and tell us we can't play with you, change the rules to suit yourselves. But we are the children.
Excuse me, when did I do that?
On the talkback, it's been years. I mean, I'll forget if you don't remember.
Been.
Yeah, it has. I've been here for a decade now. I mean, I have to qualify it as a Madnakian, as a Keeniac. So anyway, you've told us to work within the system, and we did. We created through your legal means. I'm getting to the part right here for you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's probably an extra 5 minutes on you. Sorry about that. Legal means that an organization that fits your requirement for a church. We have a moral philosophy, not a political one. Political organizations advocate for candidates. We preach our moral philosophy daily to our group, to this community, to the nation, and to the world. Churches aren't just thousand-year-old institutions. God is constantly revealing itself in new ways. Thus, new religions and new denominations are being born all of the time. The fact that we run for office because we have opinions on issues does not exclude us from starting a church. Don't forget that this is a First Amendment issue, and there are punitive awards in this case if we happen to win. We meet all the qualifications of a church by all legal standards set forth by New Hampshire and the United States government, and yet you say no. I'm not surprised. You've kidnapped us, you've beaten us, you've shouted us down, you've libeled us, you've slandered us, you've stolen from us, you've threatened us, you've looked the other way while violence has been used against us. You've disenfranchised us, you've broken your laws to get us, you've snatched us up when we have broken no law. You've stretched the meaning of your laws to benefit yourself, you've stretched your laws to our own detriment. You've vilified us, you've borne false witness against us, you've ignored us, you've lied to our faces and then called us liars. You've invaded our homes. You've acted criminally towards us while treating us as if we are the most vile of reprobates. It'd be difficult to say we're not arrayed against each other as enemies, but I don't want to fight. I've been told by at least one employee of the city of Keene that they're trying to get us to move out of Keene. Well, I'm here to tell you that ship has sailed. We're here to stay, and we want to work this out. This meeting isn't supposed to be about money. It's supposed to be about whether we fit the qualifications of a church. Well, we do, but we all know money's at issue here. Money's at the heart of people's motives, and it shows their intentions. So I'm going to address it. You claim monopoly on many services. There should be competitions for those dollars, but there isn't. Well, we use those services. Your roads, your cops. It's not like we have a choice. Do you think after all these years of dealing with us, that we wouldn't pay for the things that we use? From the beginning, we have made it clear that we disagree fundamentally and philosophically with your government schools. We have no children in them. We never use them. Now, I do have a child. He's 7 years old, and his name's Jack. He is beautiful and intelligent and kind. And every year, twice a year, 2 people come and steal money from him to pay for other people's kids' schooling. I drive by these schools. You drive by these schools. You see the nice cars in the parking lot. This isn't about poor people getting an education. This is middle-class welfare babysitting. The government takes my kids' money and sends it to one of the worst schools in the area. Few here would claim that the government schools are better than private schools. And those that did would be hard-pressed to find a shred of evidence to support their assertion. Keene High just got some kind of prize recently. I think it was a silver award, but it was still a very high prize, where the government rates government schools to the exclusion of private schools. That's like winning the Special Olympics and pretending it's like the real Olympics. All the stolen money in the world won't make schools better because it's a flawed model. Most people in Keene are too uninvolved to care what happens here today. They don't care. Many of them hate us. A lot of them hate us and they don't even know why. Many think we're great, but they don't have the courage to say so because they know the inevitable results. Once one is a reviled underclass, there's little hope. I don't know if we'll ultimately win this in the highest of courts, and I don't care. We'll make you spend far more than you'll get from us. You will drain your taxpayers to feed your mission. Just look at the Robin Hood case. Anyone can see the results. You lose 50 grand in parking tickets, and what do? You spend another 50 to 100,000 on some high-priced lawyers from Concord in a case that neither you nor they believe you can win. Our only refuge is to play to your weakness. And this will continue because you're driven by bias or by the fear that granting us this completely legal request will label you a free stater too. Hey, I know what it's like. Courage, whether you consider it the right thing to do like I do or just the most expedient thing to do, is hard to come by. We're talking about 3 or 4 grand a year here for government schools, but you'll spend far more to defend this. We know that you know that we'll take this case as far as we can. We've already been to the Supreme Court and we'll go farther. You know that we're getting our ducks in a row for a landmark case. We're driven by ideology. I'd spend 6 grand to deny you 3,500. We're at an impasse, and if you leave me with no choice, I'll go ahead and enjoy it. Your best option, the job you're supposed to do here anyway, what's outlined in a plain reading of your laws, and what you swore to uphold, is to grant this. You will either be stopped by your own preconceptions of us, or you'll go ahead and meet us under a flag of truce.
Any questions from the board?
Thanks.
You guys want to go to the next one? Or you want to decide this?
It's up to you.
All right. Let's decide these as we go. The board has received all the information that's been submitted, including a letter from Brandon Ross, attorney. The City Department of Assessment feels that they failed to meet their burden to prove that they are eligible for the exemption to RSA 7223, paragraph 3. The board is can make a decision either way. So we'll take a motion when the board's ready. And
You want to make the motion? Well, I'll make the motion then that we, the Shire Free Church be exempt from taxation.
that could be exempt.
I mean,
Not to be.
exempt. That we
Deny the request
Deny
for
the
exemption for the Shire Church.
go
Just to be
along.
clear, that the motion is to deny the request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I guess I'd feel better if it just to put out there, if they had a church. I would just, you know, if they, I mean, they have a parsonage where people live, but I would feel better if they had a church.
We made an offer on the United Methodist Church, and that offer was turned down. We have looked at the church in a church in Winchester, but it's just too far for us to be interested in. We're looking for the right building, and a church isn't. I mean, you know, I was taught all the time coming up in Christian churches. A church isn't a building. A church is people.
Right. People have to have like a place to meet. I don't know of any other church that doesn't have a building. That's what I'm saying.
They meet out of the
Quakers
park.
don't have a building. The Quakers.
It's true. The Quakers the Quakers in town don't have their own building either.
A vote. So Barry, yes. Marianne,
Yeah.
Cynthia, your vote? Yes. No?
Yes.
Yes. Passes 3-0 to deny the application. Next up, Mr. and Mrs. Keene.
Hey, Dan,
The other information you may.
question. The meeting's still going. Can you explain the reasons why the city recommended the Shire Free Church be denied?
Yeah, they failed to meet your burden.
Can you explain
That's all the information
what
we have.
parameters?
We're going to disagree on this, so.
Heard about your reasons for the denial today?
No, I don't care. Thank you.
Okay. No, I'm going to Swansea. Yeah, I can. Yeah. I even might put the top down. I've had it there for 3 weeks. I didn't want to leave it out while I was in Arizona. So today's the first time I took it out of the garage.
Have a nice day.
We'd like to invite you to visit freekeene.com. Freekeene.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeene.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeene.com.
I should be in Keene, New Hampshire with the Free Staters.